good will call. Oh, yeah. Oh, right, that's what I meant.
Really good.
Yeah, that was good.
Why do you give up something meaningful like beer?
Guys, listen up! If you moved your chair, you are now within 6 feet of someone. The chairs need to stay in the middle and on the ends of the table so that you're 6 feet apart.
We live together, is that right?
Yeah. I don't like it any more than you guys do, but I'm sure you guys have seen how the numbers are climbing again. So we do have to stay 6 feet apart. Guys, this isn't a joke. There should only be 3, because she just said 3 people here. I mean, you two live together, fine. You do? Right. All right. Happy Monday. Believe me, I'm getting as frustrated as you guys are. I don't like it. I opened that door, I couldn't take it anymore this morning. It's like I just feel so out of touch with everyone. But again, after seeing the rates that it's increasing again, unfortunately, we just had to get through this extra push here. Whether it was spring break, Easter gatherings, whatever, once we get through this, hopefully we'll get enough people vaccinated and can get somewhat back to normal. All right, birthdays. I did send an email out, but I'll say it anyway because I'm kind of in between here. Kathy Honey had a birthday. And then Jim Malay will have one on the 21st. Okay, accidents. I will say, you guys probably noticed the door down there in the garage. So, basically what that is, I keep forgetting I need to stay in front of that. That's being in a hurry, right? You have to check and make sure that door is up. And it has to be all the way up. Because they'll go partially up. We've seen it before, right? So, it's suggested in years past that you actually stand there and watch that door go all the way up. this person called in about something else and then just got all fired up and decided to throw everything in there that they could about what's wrong. This is not something that they personally have seen. This was a citizen complaint. So just watch your speed there. Make sure that you're going the speed limit. If you're in front of St. Pete's, you should be going 20. Okay, and then the other thing would be, now that we're a week into our third start of the year, you should have a better grasp on how many students are on your bus that might be there regularly. Like 15 trains going by. So if you need to adjust the seating, let us know. You know, if you show that there were going to be 50 kids, well, 49. First of all, let's go over that. You cannot have more than 49 students on your bus. Right? That's what the guidance is. 50 with the driver. So if you feel like you're getting close, do a head count. We do have to keep it to 49 students. So if you show that you have 49 students on your bus and you really have 20, and they're all lumped together in one area of the bus, let us know so we can spread them out. Because we don't want them sitting next to each other if they don't have to. But unfortunately, some of these routes show that there would be 3 kids to a seat, which we know it's not true, but we had to start out that way just to figure out who was really going to be on there and who wasn't. So if you have that issue on your bus, let us know and we'll fix it. Any questions on that? Oh, you guys are quiet this morning. Yeah. Just a reminder, because we do have a lot of new drivers and some routes got switched around. Just a reminder that you do not have to have your reds on at the diagonal at the high school, right? No cars can get past you, so that's why we don't have them on. Important dates, Jackie passed that out. If you don't have one, let us know. There's a few up front here too. We're still working on it, but most of it is there. There's a Geneva Last Day, June 4th. They would like an elementary dismissal at 1 o'clock and middle school at 1:45. But they still haven't told us what the last day of high school is. So that's not gonna work out well if the high school is still in session. Normally on the last day we don't transport home though, so we'll have to wait to get that answer. They do not even know right now when exams are. So they're not even thinking about the last day yet. There's a half day, an early dismissal in there with a question mark next to it. I think it's May 14th. That's going to the board tonight, so we'll have an answer tomorrow. Just want to make sure you guys know that it's there. And that's what we're requesting, is a half day that day. All right. Those of you that are doing high school routes tomorrow, we have junior testing. So number one, those of you that drive high school know that you're gonna have very, very light loads tomorrow morning because it's juniors only. And then those of you that are doing one of the east-west, or one of those buses to get them home, I am putting together, I filtered these students out on Versatrans so that I don't know if you can see it from here, but it basically has the student's name, it has what route they're usually on, and then it has their stop. And like, there's 2 kids at this stop, but that's stop 1. I also put stop numbers in there for you just to make it a little bit easier. And then I'll add a bus number and I'll get over to the high school, so hopefully the kids will know where to go. Let's see. I think you guys probably already know this, but I'll tell you, we no longer need to plug the buses in. And the field trips don't have to come out of the garage. If you're parked at north or south, we'll put you in your bus again. A reminder, make sure your keys are in the off position, because sometimes they feel like they're in the right spot, and they're not. If you need to, pull that key out and make sure that it's in the off position. Or you'll see that there's lights still on up above.
Mary?
Yeah.
And if someone uses the sub buses to leave the keys, they don't take the keys.
And you guys probably couldn't hear that. If you use a sub bus, leave the key in it. If you found the key in it when you went to use it, leave the key there. I know that Mill Creek has said they're not doing their garage sales this year, but I've seen on social media that some are still going to do that. So I have no idea how many will be doing that. I think there is a date, but I don't know what that, do you know what it is?
I
So-
saw something.
I saw it, it was later than normal, like end of May, I think I saw.
Yeah, like the 24th, the week of I saw it on the patch or somewhere, and I went, oh, they're still doing it. I think it's close to the last week,
Yeah,
yeah, if I'm
So-
not mistaken.
we'll try to get a date for that. Just in case, let's see. I think we went over this, but I'm gonna go over it again, just so, just as a constant reminder. Our route review will be August 9th and 10th. Our in-service is the 11th. I did put in the request to the ROE to have, 3 different, we'll do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for the 2-hour refresher. But hopefully we can get it down to at least just 2. And,
Reminder email to that?
and then it's spring, probably have a little more than usual, during COVID, field trips. I know not more than a normal year, but there's still, they have to separate the kids on the field trips as well, so a few more buses going out, so if you can help with the field trips, please get signed up. All right, do you guys have anything for me, anything that we need to talk about? Rich,
Anything about the summer yet?
can you find out if Jackie can let us know where she's at with summer?
With summer?
Trying to get calendars. And, I had a request, all the calendars just for this school year, because it's 2-week shutdown, everybody's changing things around, so, not sure where she's at with summer. Any other questions while we're waiting? Kathy?
I submitted a UOR, I listed the kids that were listed on my route but still hadn't shown up to ride the bus. And I listed, I had a few students that were sharing a seat and some were not siblings. I only had one for middle school that showed concern. I didn't feel comfortable rearranging a seat and then changing your seating arrangement, that's why I submitted that, was that what you needed to have?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
When might I hear something, so I can let them know?
Do you know who has Kathy's, adjusted to the UOR about her seating?
It's in my mailbox right now. I have not looked at it yet though, I just saw it this morning.
Yeah, anytime you can spread them out further, just let us know, and we'll fix them. Don't just do it on your own, cause as we always say, you change your route or you add a stop and you don't tell us, that makes it really difficult for the subs. It's not only just difficult, it can really throw you off when you have these kids in back of you, all of a sudden they start yelling that you missed a stop and you don't know what's going on. It's not fun when you're subbing to have that happen. And then you were checking on summer as well as to what schools maybe are going?
Yeah, so I've got some of the dates, but as you all know, we've been combining AB routes, and I haven't had the time yet to put that together. So this week, I'm putting together the spreadsheet of what students are going, what their dates are, all of that, so I should have an answer for you on the summer by the end of the week.
Right. You said it's pretty much what you wanted to know, Rich, right?
Yeah.
Not really the dates. Any other questions? No? Wow, come on.
Where's Jim Decker when we need him?
Everybody was thinking it, Dale.
We love Jim Decker.
That's funny.
I have to tell you, you guys are doing an amazing job. I know this has been a very, very difficult year. You know, it's not easy, it's not been fun, the whole distancing, not being able to sit at the table and joke around and drink coffee. But hopefully, at some point, we can get back to it, get back to that. But we really appreciate it myself, the district as well. I was talking to them the end of last week about, the constant changing here in the boards in the front office, you know, how it just keeps changing all the time. It's like our third startup this year for, routes. Like, see if we did it right again. But we're getting pretty good. I think we're getting faster at it. And not just that, I was also explaining to them that, with the new rules for federal, motor carriers, you know, what, the MAP 21, ELDT, whatever you wanna refer to it as, that's a lot. You know, you guys will be grandfathered, but it's still something that, you guys had to jump in and learn, like the parallel parking. If you get pulled for a random test, you've had to, you know, just cause they say you're grandfathered doesn't mean you're completely grandfathered. So it's really more of like a skilled position now. You know, it used to be when I started here, train somebody for a couple of weeks, you're good, let's go, and that was it. So, again, we appreciate everything that you guys have done this year.
Do you ever get any positive feedback from the parents?
We do, we constantly hear, mostly like the appreciation that they have that, it's an older workforce here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it took a lot, I know, for many of you to say, yeah, okay, I'll do it. You know, and they recognize that, and we recognize that as well. That, it wasn't, I'm sure, easy, especially in the beginning, not knowing, you know, we didn't know a whole lot back then. I did find out though, if you're vaccinated and you've had close contact with someone with symptoms, you don't have to quarantine. Yay. You have to get tested probably, but you don't have to quarantine. Oh, getting there, hopefully. Anything else?
Anyone who's on special needs for next year,
As far as,
increasing,
it'll be discussed at the board meeting tonight. Yeah.
Increasing what?
The routes, taking more back. All right, Matt, are you ready?
Yep.
Mary, we just got the dates for finals and the times, I don't know if you saw.
Oh, that was awesome. Oh, yeah. I thought maybe I could see. All right, so we have hot off the press, this just in. Tuesday, June 1st, they'll be doing testing for period 1 and period 2. So basically, it looks like 7:40 to 10:50, and we'll send this out to you, but, Wednesday, June 2nd, period 3, 4, 5, and 6, so 7:40 to 10:50 again. And then Thursday, the 3rd, period 6, 7, 8, and 9, 7:40 to 10:50, and then that Friday will just be makeup, so just the kids that need to make up their exams. But we'll send that out in an email.
Will the preschoolers go till June 4th also?
I've not heard, Matt, have you?
I have not heard that one yet. I will look into that one.
All right, we'll get an answer for you.
All right, we are going over railroad crossings. So we have this lovely video, and we will do a quiz afterwards.
Guys, we gotta be quiet again before we get on the railroad track.
The decisions you make as a school bus driver affect the safety of your passengers. Nowhere are the right decisions more important than at railroad crossings.
It's all the way up already.
There's a lot going on inside and outside of the school bus at rail crossings. Extra precautions must be taken to decide smart and arrive safe. Everyone has driven a car across railroad tracks and not given it much thought. But driving a school bus is different. You are entrusted with the lives of children. Their safety is a top concern. School buses must stop before crossing the tracks, even if there's no indication a train is coming. Cal Lamont is a school bus safety advocate who goes around the country training bus drivers.
The most important safety device on any school bus is the school bus driver. And making smart decisions is an individual choice that every driver makes every time that he or she gets behind that wheel.
Let's take a look at signs and signals and what they mean. The advanced warning sign is usually the first sign you see when approaching a highway rail crossing. It's located a good distance ahead to allow a school bus driver to slow down and prepare to stop before reaching the crossing. Pavement markings consist of a railroad crossing symbol followed by a stop line. The stop line identifies the place nearest the tracks for you to stop. If there is no stop line, you are required to stop no closer than 15 feet and no farther than 50 feet from the nearest track. A crosswalk sign marks all highway rail grade crossings. It means yield for most vehicles, but for school buses, it means stop. In addition to a crosswalk, a stop or yield sign may also be included. No matter what the other signage is displayed, when a school bus approaches a crosswalk, stop. Some rail crossings have a crosswalk with flashing red lights and bells. School bus drivers should treat it like a stop sign, and when the lights begin to flash, do not cross. A train is coming. Many crossings have gates with flashing lights and bells. The gates are used to close the road when a train approaches. must not go until the gates are completely raised and the lights go off. If there is more than one track, a sign below the crosswalk will tell you the number. Make sure all tracks are clear before crossing. There are a wide variety of railroad crossing situations in terms of both the signs and signals and the layout of the crossing. School bus drivers should always expect a train and be aware that state laws and signage may vary with regard to highway rail grade crossings. It may take longer and be inconvenient, but finding an alternate route that avoids railroad tracks is the safest way to go. And just because you don't have any railroad crossings in your district doesn't mean you won't ever cross them. Busing kids to sports games and other activities may take you over a railroad crossing. So when you get to a railroad crossing, it's important to have a game plan and to know what to do. That's why Operation Lifesaver developed a series of safety steps called 5 Alive. 5 Alive, Step 1, prepare to stop. It all starts with our first sign, the advanced warning sign. When you see the advanced warning sign, slow down, prepare to stop, and alert other vehicles of your intentions by tapping on the brakes and turning on the hazard lights. Step 2, quiet. Alert the students for quiet by flashing the dome lights, making an announcement, using the noise suppression switch, turning off radios and fans. Quiet on board your bus will help you hear the train's horn and focus your attention as you check for a train. Quiet signals vary from school district to school district. Step 3, stop, open window and door. Stop between 15 to 50 feet from the tracks or at the stop line. Open the window and door and look both ways down the tracks.
This is an old video. Does anybody know what step they're missing?
Poles, mirrors, window posts.
Parking
Lean
brake.
forward or backward in your seat.
You must put on the parking brake in Illinois.
Do a double take by looking quickly again in both directions before crossing the tracks. And step 5 of the 5 Alive drill, go. If no train is in sight, cross the tracks. If you're driving a manual transmission, do not shift gears and risk stalling on the tracks. If you see a train coming from either direction, do not cross. You cannot accurately judge a train's speed or distance. An optical illusion may make the train seem farther away and slower moving than it actually is. This train appears to be creeping along, and suddenly it's at the crossing. Don't take a chance. Wait. Obstructed views can prevent drivers from seeing down the tracks at stop lines. Sometimes it's a matter of inching up past a pole or tree. Let's see what this school bus instructor recommends to her new driver.
This is where you have obstruction and you will need to rock and roll. Listen. And proceed.
If you can't see safely down the tracks in both directions, talk to your supervisor. Contact railroad or highway authorities and ask them to remove the obstruction. Beware of getting too close to the tracks or a train may clip you. Trains overhang by at least 3 feet on each side of the tracks. Leave plenty of room for a train's overhang. When the 5 Alive steps aren't followed, disaster can strike. Buffalo, Montana, 1998. The school bus driver had completed most of the 5 Alive steps and was about to cross when a student asked the driver a question about some music. The distracted driver answered the student, then crossed without looking down the tracks a second time. A train struck the school bus, killing 2 brothers.
In that particular situation, that driver was interrupted by a child and did attend to the child. It had to do with a cassette player. But the problem was that the driver did not go back and scan all of the stimuli that he had to look at that moment. It is going back and reviewing all the systems that are going on to make sure that nothing has changed. Because as a driver, things can change in nanoseconds. And that was the fatal error.
Don't be distracted at railroad crossings. If you're interrupted, start your 5 Alive safety steps again. Fox River Grove, Illinois, 1995. A substitute school bus driver, unfamiliar with the rail crossing, started to cross multiple tracks. Unbeknownst to the driver, when the light turned red on the other side, there wasn't enough room for the bus to clear the tracks. As the train approached, 3 feet of bus extended over the tracks. Inside the school bus, the radio noise drowned out both the train's horn and students' warnings about the oncoming train.
They all ran to the front of the bus, get out of the way.
The impact killed 7 students.
All of that would not have happened if this particular driver had been able to spend some time figuring out, do I have enough room to move this 40-foot bus so that it's going to clear the tracks?
Many errors were made at Fox River Grove. When traffic lights and railroad crossings are in close proximity, there's always the potential that traffic may back up, not leaving enough room for a school bus to fit on the other side. Don't cross the tracks unless there is plenty of room on the other side. This space is called containment or storage. Take into account a train's 3 feet overhang from the tracks and your bus's length.
Well, I think it's important not for the bus driver just to know the length of the bus, but the bus driver has got to walk the length of that bus prior to ever beginning a route, meaning that there is a visual acquaintance that the driver has with that machine. And I think most drivers, after walking around the bus and physically getting accustomed to it, are going to be able to make smart decisions on the basis of what they have seen.
With the light red and traffic waiting, this bus driver made the smart decision to wait before crossing. School bus drivers are being trained to have at least 15 feet of clearance once they cross the tracks. How would you avoid the mistakes at Fox River Grove? Run your route before carrying students across it. Review containment areas to determine when you can cross safely. Eliminate excess noise at the crossing to hear the train. If you have a containment area on your route that will not safely hold your bus, ask to adjust your route. And finally, contact your supervisor on how to deal with it. Coneslaga, Tennessee, 2000. A school bus driver from Murray County, Georgia, failed to stop at a crosswalk after turning the bus around in a parking lot on the Georgia-Tennessee line. Here's our local newscast describing.
The impact of the collision ripped the school bus off of its chassis, dragging it down the tracks, throwing the driver and some of the 7 children out, sounding to nearby residents like an exploding bomb.
I helped pull a small girl, I believe it was a blonde-headed girl from the bus that had massive head injuries.
3 children were killed. The driver's daughter, also a passenger on the bus, was severely injured. An onboard camera caught the driver failing to stop. The driver had been ignoring the crosswalk for some time since the train was never running.
When a bus driver believes that he or she has got this route down, and I know that there are not going to be any trains, that's the time that the driver is setting himself or herself up for disaster. You always go into a crossing assuming that there will be a train and take the necessary steps.
Savannah, Georgia, 2005. 4 children were put in harm's way by their school bus driver. Bells were ringing, warning lights flashing, and the gates were down when the unthinkable happened. With the train approaching, the bus driver had 4 kids get off the bus to lift the crossing arms so the bus could proceed. A mother saw the whole thing.
The conductor is screaming out the windows at the children to get out of the way.
With the train bearing down, the kids crossed over the tracks in front of the train to get back on the bus.
They could have died. The train was so close.
The school bus driver was immediately fired.
Right before that, another bus came through and was doing the zigzag to get through the light.
Gates are blocking an intersection for a reason. A train is coming. Never lift the crossing arms. Never go around a gate. Contact the police or bus dispatcher if you feel there's a problem. The more you know about trains, the more cautious you'll be around railroad crossings. Here's a few train facts. It can take a mile or more to stop a train given its weight and size. Trains don't have steering wheels. They can't swerve. Trains are much bigger and heavier than buses. 400 loaded school buses would equal one loaded train.
You have your route all copied for you, and you need to go over this route.
Before heading off with a loaded bus of kids, know your route. Know where the railroad crossings are. Drive your route and copy down the emergency notification number and the U.S. Department of Transportation identification numbers at your crossings. The posted numbers can take various shapes and sizes. Keep these phone numbers with you on the bus. Also give a copy to your dispatcher. If there's a problem at a crossing, you can provide the coordinates and the number to the dispatcher. As you scout your route, plan for an evacuation in the event your school bus gets stuck on the tracks. Determine an evacuation safe spot away from the tracks. This evacuation area is ideally at a 45-degree angle from the tracks in the direction of the train. Never cross a live track. Here's the evacuation drill. Scout and plan for an evacuation. Get the students safely out of the bus to the evacuation area. Call your dispatch office and give them the crossing numbers. In planning your route, make a list of the safety concerns. Work with your supervisor on resolving them. The safety of your passengers comes first. Each day, millions of kids ride school buses. Many of these buses cross railroad tracks, and each time they do, drivers go through the 5 alive safety steps. 1. When you see the advanced warning sign, prepare to stop. Tap the brakes, turn on hazard lights, slow down. 2. Alert the students for quiet. 3. Stop 15 to 50 feet from tracks. Open the window and door and look both ways. If there are obstructions, try to navigate past them. 4. Do a double take. Quickly look both ways again. And 5. If no train is in sight, cross the tracks.
A school bus driver has to continually say to himself, herself, hey look, I've got one job to do right now. I've got the rest of my life, you know, I'm gonna be going home, I'm gonna have a cup of coffee, I'm gonna pick up my laundry, all the rest of that, but right now, I've got one thing to do. And that one thing that I have to do has implications not just for me, it's not just employment. It is protecting the lives of kids who have to have a future because I remain focused.
Another safe bus ride home. Over the course of a year, 4 billion safe miles are driven by school bus drivers like you. Your passengers arrive safely because of your smart decisions at railroad crossings.
What's the best thing that any of us could have said about our lives at the end of our lives? And that is that we gave somebody else a chance to live, somebody else a chance to experience his or her potential. And that's what driving a bus is all about. It's not a yellow door. It's a yellow door to a child's future.
Decide smart, arrive safe.
All right. Quick quiz for you guys on that video. It takes a 100-car freight train going 55 miles an hour, a mile or more to stop. This is equal to how many football fields? 2, 12, 18, or 25? 25. It is 18. They just said it in the video, guys. At crossings where there is a stop sign or signal on the other side of the tracks, how does the driver determine if there is enough room for the bus? There's always room. Get out of the bus and measure, make a careful guess, or know the length of your bus. Good job. What causes drivers to misjudge whether it is safe to cross the tracks? Some drivers may not hear the train horn. Trains change speed unexpectedly. It's an optical illusion, or they think the train can stop for them. Optical illusion. If you believe signals are malfunctioning at the crossing, you should look for the railroad's emergency notification number, do not cross, find another route, or all of the above. That is correct. These last few are true and false. A school bus approaching a highway rail intersection always has the right of way. True or false? That is false. A crossbuck is the most common sign at a railroad crossing. True. A stop sign at a highway rail grade crossing means the same as a stop sign at any other intersection. That is true. A number posted below a crossbuck sign indicates how many train tracks cross at that rail intersection. True. Lowered gates and flashing red lights mean a train is approaching. That is true. If the gates remain down after a train passes through a railroad crossing with more than one set of tracks, it is a malfunction. False. If your bus stalls on a track, never try to restart the bus and evacuate the kids. That is true. If you have already started across the track and the gate begins to descend, continue to cross. That is true. If that railroad arm comes down and hits the back of your bus, make sure you let us know in the office, because I can guarantee you the person that was behind you is going to be calling in and telling us you ran through the road. A train can avoid a collision if the locomotive engineer applies the brakes upon seeing a vehicle on the tracks. False. A driver is required to stop the vehicle no closer than 15 feet from the nearest rail. True. School bus drivers should stop at all railroad crossings, whether there are students aboard or not. That is true. And state and federal highway laws concerning school buses crossing railroad tracks are not exactly the same. That is true. It's kind of a trick question. State ones are going to vary. Federal is going to stay the same.
Repeat that?
State law, the question? So the question said, state and federal highway laws concerning school bus crossing railroad tracks are not exactly the same. It's both true and false. Any questions on railroads? Before you guys go, I've put up a bunch of evacuation field trips for next week and the following week. I just want you guys to know that if you sign up for them, you do have to spray the bus down in between each group. So the schools have already been notified, and there is time in there for you guys to spray them down and let them dry. I just want you guys to be aware of that. Any questions on anything? What's up, Randy?
Why would you have the evacuations on the first week of school instead of the last?
Well, we held out hoping that due to COVID, the state would let us use the video that they came up with for bus evacuations that are directed to the students. However, the state has decided that we need to still do the in-person part. So we could not get away with just using the video. So the hope was that we wouldn't have to do these in person and cram a bunch of kids on the bus. Well, as far as the CDC and the state say, we can have 49 kids on a bus. It's not recommended, but that's what they allow us to put on there, so. Any other questions? All right, you guys are free to go.
I'm gonna call you, no, I know what that is, I know what that is, let's see what happens, and sure enough, it's through the guy, that guy going to find.
Another one too is in the winter time, and all the snow and ice comes up on the, especially in the schools. And they start to get bouncing in the wheels, because all the snow and ice upsets the wheel balance.
So Megan and she could care less. She's like her mother and father, and they have like a little bit, higher than a
Same way, like I got up one morning, I know, the countryside, so I just got wind and, sure enough, what's up with wheels? I started going down the road to get to work one morning, my car's just bouncing back and forth.
Okay. You gotta let sign up.
No, they did it for us.
Right, they sent her an email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it worked out, so.
I know he's still out, I gotta call him.